In Ragic, you can streamline your calculations with automated formulas. Easily calculate totals, due dates, and budget thresholds without the hassle of manual calculations. This video will guide you through using formulas in Ragic, covering basic mathematical calculations, conditional formulas, and more. In Ragic, you can apply formulas to any sheet, such as orders or customer management sheets. Let's take the project budget sheet as an example. For example, if you want the system to automatically calculate the subtotal for each item after you input the quantity needed and the price, and then sum up all the subtotals to determine the total budget for a project, you can achieve this by applying formulas. To set up formulas, you need to access the design mode by clicking on the Change Design option located in the top right corner of the form page. Let's take multiplication as an example. If the amount field is calculated by multiplying the quantity and unit price, you can enter the formula D12 multiplied by E12 in the amount field. Next, subtraction. Suppose the expected return is calculated by subtracting the expected cost from the total amount of the project. In this case, you can simply enter the formula A3 minus A7. Formulas in Ragic work similarly to Excel, but there are two key differences worth noting. First, you do not need to use an equal sign to begin a formula. Second, when setting up a formula, you need to reference the cell based on the field header it belongs to, as fields in Ragic directly reference the values and formulas of their headers. Once you have finished setting up the formula, you will notice an FX icon in the upper right corner of the field. Clicking on this icon will highlight all the fields that are referenced by the formula, making it convenient for you to review and verify the formula. Next, let's discuss division. If the expected profit margin is the expected return divided by the total amount of the project, the formula would be A8 divided by A3. In Ragic, formulas can handle not only numbers, but also dates and strings. For example, to calculate the date that is 1 week before the project deadline, create a date field with the year, month, date format, which works with day calculations. Use the formula C4 minus 7 to subtract 7 days from the deadline. Beside the format mentioned just now, date field also has other formats, like HHMM, which works with minute calculations. If you want to calculate the time 1 hour ago, you can subtract 60 from the time value. Furthermore, you can also apply string formulas in other field types by using the plus sign to concatenate the text of multiple fields. To illustrate, let's create a summary field and use the formula C2 plus quotation mark, space, quotation mark, plus A2 plus quotation mark, comma, project manager, colon, space, quotation mark, plus C3 plus quotation mark, comma, start date, colon, quotation mark, plus A4 plus quotation, comma, end date, colon, space, quotation, plus C4. This formula will combine the project number, project name, project manager, start date, and end date into a single field. One important thing to note when using quotation marks in formulas is to use straight vertical quotes instead of curved or slanted ones. Some text editors may automatically convert them to the wrong format, leading to formula errors. If you encounter any issues with your formula, it's always a good idea to double-check and ensure that the marks are correct. Now, let's move on to conditional formulas. With this formula, you can set a condition for the system to determine whether the condition is met or not, and the formulas will return specific values accordingly. For example, let's say you add a field called exceeded budget, and you want it to return yes when the actual cost is greater than the estimated cost, and no when it does not. You could input the following formula. If C7 is greater than A7, return yes. Otherwise, return no. When using conditional formulas, it is essential to specify the value to be returned when the condition is true and the value to be returned when the condition is false. In subtables, you can also use SUMIF formula to calculate the total of column values that meet specific criteria. For example, you can determine the total amount for a specific item on receipts or calculate the overall budget for a particular category in a budget sheet. If you want to calculate the total budget for the equipment category, add an independent field and input the formula SUMIF, B12 quotation equipment quotation F12. This formula will calculate the sum of values in subtable column F12 when the category is equipment. Remember to click Save once you're finished. Since the formula is triggered only when you initially enter the data, if you need to apply the formula for all previous entries, you have to click on either of these Recalculate buttons in the design mode. Once you exit the design mode, you will see that these fields have been automatically populated with values calculated through the formulas. To learn more about Ragic, subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos. If you have any questions, feel free to leave your comments below.